Hello, Vladimir. I'd like to welcome you because it's always a pleasure to meet with you in person, but this time you cannot come to Budapest. So we made this catch up on internet. So I'm really happy that we can talk and discuss about the things which we were discussing last year. That you have a lot of ideas changing the game, right? And there were a lot of development by you working with DeepMind and Ms. Hassabis, thinking about what alternatives it's possible to do to make the game more interesting, so to say, because of the fact that there are a lot of draws in the tournament. So I want to ask you, what are your experiences now? And to tell a little bit more about it, what are the news on that?
Hello, Judith. My pleasure always to talk to you online and offline. We have worked with DeepMind, had certain ideas. I wouldn't say how to make chess more interesting because chess is interesting. A standard variation of chess is interesting enough, but to try to give some more options, I would say, and maybe especially for top level chess because everybody knows who follows chess, who likes it, that there is a lot of theory nowadays in chess, and from time to time we see games, especially if you are talking about the top level grandmaster play, then well, sometimes most of the game, if not even the full game, is played out of preparation. And I just, as a professional chess player myself, was a little bit tired, frankly, of it, especially of memorizing lots of theory, lots of opening lines, repeating it before the game. I'm sure, Judith, you know this as well, that it's not the funniest part of chess profession. Then I got some ideas, so why not to change a little bit the rules? Very little, that it still stays a game of chess, but then that the players can start to play from earlier on, the game has maybe more content, more decisive games, and which is better for public, for spectators, and in a way it's also better for chess players. So then we came to different ideas, and we worked with AlphaZero, with DeepMind team, trying to check, so to say, mathematically, do they work? What are the possible statistics, in this new variants of chess? And one of it, which is the simplest one to implement, I would say it is extremely simple. It's actually that you play chess, but there is no right to castle. Both players have no right to castle, which, by the way, was not existing. Castle was not existing at the beginning of a chess game. I find this move a little bit strange, I would say, this rule. I have certain ideas why this rule was implemented. I think it was implemented sometime around 13th century or something. So and then we give it a try, and AlphaZero played lots of games on this variant, and I actually, when going through those games, I realized how interesting this variation of chess. It's much more dynamic, very complicated especially for human chess players, but finally the statistic is more or less the same. That it's a little bit 51-49 or something for white, so it doesn't change actually the game mathematically, but I think it makes it very interesting. Then we published this scientific paper in a scientific magazine with NoCastle and also many other variants of chess which we invented as well. And finally we even organized nowadays. I really hope it will have some continuation. Maybe some other top tournaments will give it a try, because I really find it extremely interesting. And in Dortmund, traditional Dortmund chess tournament this year, the organizers decided to make a match as a main event of 4 games of no castle chess, classical time control, with me and Vishy Anand. Okay, I'm not playing chess professionally already for 2.5 years, but this was a special occasion because I wanted to promote it, and we played this match, which finally was won by Vishy Anand, 2.5, 1.5. But I was still very happy because I really enjoyed it, and I think all the games were very interesting.
So we are going to see some of the games of that match because you're kind enough to tell me that you're happy to comment on that. But before that, how did you prepare for this match? What were your feelings about it? That's something what you created. It was your idea. You're implementing in a tournament environment. You're playing the match with him. And at the same time, you told me that there was an open tournament running for other players to try it out. So, what was the preparation? How did you prepare with the computer, for example, opening preparation?
Well, I didn't prepare much because that was not the point. I mean, the result of the match was not the point. Actually, I wanted to be as fresh as possible to get this fresh impression of the game. But actually, you can prepare, and we both did prepare a bit with engines. But it's a totally new territory. Even the first move is already not clear. What is the best first move, and so on. So, in fact, you can do it with regular engines in a tricky way because you play knight f3, knight f6, rook g1, rook g8, rook h1, rook h8, knight g1, knight g8. Same goes for the other flank. So then you have the starting position when both sides cannot castle, and then you analyze. Yes, so that was, I think I spent well, maybe altogether like 10 hours preparing for it. So just to get a certain general idea what are and actually I think we both came to the conclusion with Vishy Anand that maybe one of the strongest, maybe one of the most dangerous moves is first c4, and actually I think all 4 games were played with the first c4, but it doesn't mean, of course, e4 is also very serious move, and d4, etc. Yeah, we just, you felt in the preparation wise, you felt like you are in the 19th century. So there is a little bit of understanding about what to do in the opening, but it's a totally unknown territory. And yeah, we gave it a try for c4, but we could easily play a match with e4 and still be in a totally new unknown waters.
It is interesting what you're saying that your findings were that probably c4 might be the best move. And maybe this is why also you came up with an idea because you were an English player for a long time. That
Well, here actually, I was more even thinking, meditating about this type of chess. What should be the strategy? It's very difficult to say because you need to play a lot, many more years to understand what are the best strategies in this game. But in fact, e4 is not very logical move. I understood, even though it's good, of course, also, but because basically in standard chess you are playing e4, the main idea is to develop as quick as possible and to castle. But since you cannot castle, you're kind of a little bit weakening your king in a way. So, I mean, c4 is actually very logical because you're fighting for the center and you are very flexible with your king. You leave a lot of options. But again, it's just a very general idea. Analyzing with computer, understood that there are certain patterns like playing, sometimes king f1 and g3, king g2, or sometimes knight f3, king f1, h4, rook h3. There are some patterns. But of course, it's very difficult to understand when do they work, when they don't work. So basically, most of the games, if not all, we would start to play from move 5 or 6, and that is what I wanted actually.
Yeah, I've seen that in the games. It's pretty common, as you say, H4, H5, and stuff like that. But we can say this also in classical game, I think, nowadays. So, what do you think? Let's start to see your first game, which was going on. We are going to have a chessboard on the screen. So, we show the first position. Uh, how was your feeling before the first game? How was the atmosphere of the in the theater where you played? Were people excited to see something very different from you with the Anand, which they've seen many interesting classical games before?
Well, you see, the problem nowadays is that we actually played without spectators. Yeah, so there was still 2 tournaments, 2 round-robin tournaments going on in the same hall, but we played without spectators. Of course, they were online quite a lot. But for me, yeah, I was just in very good mood. I haven't played chess for a long time, so it was again, especially against such a great player like Vishy Anand, and to play the variant of chess which I really like. I was simply enjoying. I mean, the whole match. I was just enjoying the whole process. So, and I, of course, one of my ideas was to play in the most entertaining, interesting way, and that's why in this particular position, I guess d takes c4 is objectively the best move here. Which should probably slowly equalize. So, I mean, or at least a little bit worse, but nothing very special. But I wanted to play more entertaining chess. So I decided to play h5, which I understood is one of the typical ideas in such positions, and then trying to play king f8, h4, and maybe even sometimes rook h5. An interesting way to develop somehow your pieces, because white will also be struggling without castle, with his king. But objectively, it is in white's favor, and Vishy, he reacted very well, especially very strong move he made later. Yes, so queen c2, h4, rook d1, king f8, I think I played, and now a very powerful move he played, rook g1, which I frankly underestimated. Because I thought it's very slow. Otherwise, it's very difficult for white actually to develop his pieces somehow, but rook g1, and then, the idea is that, knight e7, trying to protect the pawn, then just g4 is g, hg. It looked to me a bit slow because I'm getting the h line for my rook, but actually white just wants to play g4, g5, and actually having an advantage here in this position. So it was a bit an unfortunate experiment. Actually, later on, the game was very entertaining, very, very complicated, and Vishy found around the time control some very, very beautiful trick, which I missed, and won the game. But he got an advantage out of the opening.
So,
but the whole game, as always in this variant, the whole game was very entertaining.
So you did not have any strange feeling during the match that your hand didn't want to go on making a castle, or Anand didn't have this? You really had your mindset that you can't not castle, because very similar position. But you were familiar for so many decades, right? It's obviously you make the long castle, and you have to switch your mindset completely that your king will not stand in a castling situation.
Yeah, but it comes easy because first of all, I haven't played regular chess for quite a while, and secondly, when you analyze a beat with engines, after 2 hours, it's like you're getting used to the fact that you cannot castle, so you're very quickly getting into this mode. The other point is that of course, things which are pretty clear to you in standard chess, assessments of different positions, standard situations are clear. Here are very unclear. I mean, even this position, it's not easy to assess it, because both cannot castle. I mean, especially during a game when you don't have engines. So basically, the main problem is, in fact, the assessment of the position. Because as you know, Judit, in standard chess, evaluation. In standard chess, it's much easier to evaluate the position because, very often the positions are rather standard. So if you have in this position both sides castled and pawn on g2, it's much easier, to understand what's going on. Here, the game is much more unbalanced, and that was for me. Assessment was an issue, of course.
But of course, this has to do with the fact that those kind of typical position, we are used to it, and we analyzed it and saw so many games on them. And contrary to this kind of position, we are just not familiar with, right? It's just simply new kind of position. Aesthetically, to our eyes, it's somehow it's artificial.
No, I wouldn't say artificial. You can actually, this type of position you can imagine happening in the real game. Let's say white played g4 early on, and black was afraid to castle, not to get mated, get the king on f8. I mean, it can happen. It can happen. It's original. It's non-standard, but that I find an advantage in it. That actually it's much more difficult to play for professionals, this chess, but for both players. But that makes it more interesting, and somehow it's like coming back. Chess is coming back to its roots when people didn't know. They couldn't play half of the game just by very standard ideas or especially concrete knowledge. So I mean, it's again to someone likes it, someone not, but to me, I find it very interesting. I enjoy it.
So let's see another game of yours. I think game 3, which was also quite special from opening point of view, because this was quite a standard position where usually black thinks about castling as fast as possible.
Yeah.
You had different thoughts.
Same as white. Same with white. I mean, yeah, but here that was all my preparation. I found that there is this in this position, that this interesting plan, h5, knight to f5, king to f8. And then, because of course, if white could have castled, he would be just better, but he also has troubles castling, yeah. And then, something like
well,
that.
If you forbid them to, if you forbid your opponent to castle.
And bishop d2, king f8, and the position is totally unclear. I mean, again, I don't know how to assess it, and does it make sense actually to assess this position, because it's just extremely complicated. Both sides are struggling with his king, which is a typical situation in such chess. And finally, again, the game was very interesting. At some point, Vishy outplayed me, and he was very close to winning. But finally, I saved it in some miraculously in actually in a study like Rook Endgame, when it seemed lost, but just by tempi, I managed to make a draw. So actually, again, I can invite our listeners to look at the whole game. It was very entertaining, and even the end game was actually quite beautiful, because it looked lost, but somehow suddenly I realized that I have some drawing chances and managed to make a draw.
How much you think intuition plays a role in this form of chess without castle?
Well, I don't know if intuition, just your understanding of chess is quite important, I believe. Yeah, it's a matter of style. I believe, for instance, Vishy, this chess is very good for him, because his style, I always considered him as actually the best player in the world who is playing best with unsecured king. I mean, he's so good with weak king. I mean, it's so difficult to mate him. And for me, actually, it was never my strong point. I was never defending against direct attack very well. So I believe that actually it's pretty much matter of style. I think it suits Vishy perfectly, this chess. But in any case, if you're a strong chess player, you'll be stronger, in this type of chess also, I believe. Yeah, it's not too different to regular chess.
Well, I remember when I was playing with Karpov many times, he was quite free-minded on that, to have his king on f8 in the Caro-Kann, for example.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are some players, right?
Yes. It's a matter of time. In Vishy, he doesn't mind to have his king under attack, and he's defending so well in such situation, like in this game also. Because I would be scared. It's a game 4. I needed to win to level the score, and I didn't get a good position out of the opening, but then managed to get some complication. And here, knight takes h5, queen takes g4 doesn't seem to work. That is why I played rook takes h5 last move. But normally black can play knight h6 or something, and then probably position is equal, but pretty complicated. Here it seems that black is in trouble. But Vishy went knight takes e3. I mean, he's already over 50, but he calculates extremely well, because it looks terribly dangerous. Rook g5, I couldn't calculate it till the end. d4 is only move. And now, but it seems that everything works. But I think it's a good example of this chess, that even in a quiet position, when kings are in the center, very interesting things can happen. For instance, here now the game we played the first line till the end of the game, and it seems that black is in trouble, but in fact he's just in time to make a draw with d take. But I can show you one nice variation. Instead of d takes c3, if black would play king f7, here. I don't know if you can. Yeah, rook takes f6 check. This I calculated. King f6, knight e4 check. King e5. And now f takes e3. King takes e4. Queen f3 check. And if king e5, queen f4 mate. And if king d3, e4 mate.
Wow.
This is a kind of typical position for no castle chess. But unfortunately, after dc3, yeah, it's very nice. dc3, queen f3. I thought maybe Vishy missed this move, and queen f3 very powerful. But queen d4, and it just works by tempi. Fe, queen d2 check. Yeah, or how was it? No, rook f6 because fe was not working. Yeah. King g7, and now, yeah, it seems that it's totally forced. F3, and then queen d2 and cb2. I think it's only move to make a draw, and now I have to give perpetual with rook g7, queen g4 check, and queen e6, but there is nothing more than perpetual in this position. So quite a nice example, that because the game was actually pretty quiet, before everything was kind of positional, but still you see that always when kings are on the center, some interesting variations can occur, and actually it was starting with rook takes h5, knight takes e3 was actually quite nice. Even the fact that I didn't win the game, finally lost the match, 1 point difference, but I was very happy to play this game because it's entertaining.
Is there any plan to continue to have a rematch on this, or to play with someone
Yes.
else?
Well, we definitely Dortmund organizers, and they like the experiment. And by the way, the company DeepMind also was a part of this match. I mean, was also involved in organization of this match, and I want to do it next year again. But maybe it will be not only the match, or maybe even the round robin tournament. That, as far as I know, that is the plan in Dortmund, to make already a top level tournament. Yes, and I really hope that maybe other tournaments can try to experiment it, because well, basically it is still chess, I mean, as you can see, but the games are more entertaining. I'm sure that the public will be happy to see it. I'm absolutely sure about it. So it's just about somebody starting doing it, but once somebody dares, to organize it, I'm sure that everybody will be happy. But okay, it's not up to me.
Well, you're not the only person from the top of chess world who wanted to redefine chess rules or little change it. It was Botvinnik who wanted very much to have computers involved, right, in the development. And also Fischer was the famous Fischer random chess. What do you think, how people will react, and top players? Do they prefer Fischer random, or when you talk to them, they rather try out and see more of no castle chess?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say before you try, yeah? So I think you need to try. The Fischer random players are already playing from time to time. Some they like it, some less, but well, this game haven't been tried yet. I mean, from most of the players. So, and also chess amateurs, everybody can try, because actually what is good about it, that you don't need to have any special settlement. You just agree with your opponent that you don't castle. And in fact, what is actually quite nice about it, that you can even play top tournaments. You just agree before the game with your opponent that you don't castle, and you play a top tournament rated game, just with a gentleman agreement, no castle chess. Even in a way, you can have a World Championship match. I don't know, Carlson, Nepomniachtchi, if they just agree that they don't castle, they can play no castle chess. So that is something quite nice about it, that you can use it in any tournament, on any level you are playing, if you like it.
Well, after seeing these games, I want to change the topic, and I would like to talk a little bit about your activities, what you're doing with the Indian chess players. I know that you're very active in coaching and passing on your knowledge to the younger generations. And I know that you're enjoying this also, which I think is very much appreciated from the youngsters. What are your thoughts on the Indian talents? Do you consider India like it was in the Soviet Union, that you had so many good players? Because now in India they have, I think, already more than 70 grandmasters by now.
Yes, well, it's of course they have a unique generation now. I mean, I don't want to tell the names, especially somebody, because there is quite a number of players. I think it's the first time since maybe Soviet Union, maybe my generation, yeah, because we had quite a number of really talented players, yeah. But when in one country there is such a big number of players with absolutely huge potential, world champion or top 10 level potential, and I'm sure that at least 3 of them will be top 10 players. I'm absolutely convinced. Maybe will be even world champion. So of course for me it is, yeah, it's very nice to also they're very nice kids. They like chess a lot, and I had a couple of sessions with them offline when it was still possible, and yes, it was a big pleasure for me, frankly, because I saw how eager are they to improve in chess, how much they work on chess, and how big is their talent. That is also very, very important, because when you see that when the kids are extremely talented, and it becomes very meaningful to try to help them, yeah, to try to help to achieve the best, because of course many of them at least will be a very good grandmasters. Yeah, I mean, even without my help or Vishy Anand's help, who is now also working with them, as far as I know, in India. They have a certain school. But maybe adding a little bit of our experience and understanding and knowledge of top players, it can help them to realize in full their potential, which is, of course, absolutely huge. Yeah. And so I'm pretty sure that very soon, already in a matter of a couple of years, we will see some of them playing events like Stavanger. I see already by games, for instance, of Pragdananda. He still needs to learn some things, but to get more experience. But I think that he has absolutely huge potential. In my opinion, the level of talent of him is close to Vishy Anand. Really close. He is really well. Of course, there are other also very good players. Very talented. But you can see. I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of short time when he'll be playing top tournaments. For instance. But in general, there are also some other very talented kids in this generation. It seems that it's a generation which is very rich for talents, and I expect that there will be many, maybe 10 players from this generation, which is a lot, who will be real challengers, and top players, and maybe challenging the world title.
Well, if you talk about the world title, my next question would be, what do you think about the upcoming match between Magnus Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi? Because there were very big difficulties. The candidates tournament, in 2 parts it was finished, and Nepomniachtchi was able to go all the way through, and he's the challenger. What do you think about the chances for him and for Magnus? Because we've seen in Norway chess how incredible again Magnus was, that he just won 4 games in a row, very difficult games. So he's able to do anything, right? But still, we have a challenger here who is from the same year. They were friends, they worked together, so they know each other pretty well. And also, of course, Nepomniachtchi was considered always a fantastic talent. And it seems like things are really working out on his way as he takes training more seriously. He has a big team of coaches also who are helping him. What do you think about the match? How it will be the outcome? Who are the favorites? And some of your thoughts.
It's difficult to say. In general, a priori, of course, Magnus is a favorite against every player, definitely. But nowadays, times are very strange. Yes, so people, chess players have much less practice. And okay, because playing rapid blitz, it's not really the same online online. So offline practice is not so huge in the last 1.5 years. So it can really influence the psychological, the chess shape of players. So well, I followed a bit the Stavanger event, and before before the event, I felt like the dynamics it's not in the favor of Magnus, because I thought he was not in good form for quite a while. And Nepomniachtchi was actually improving. I really liked how he played a couple of rapid events in summer, so I felt like it's getting very close. Of course, yeah, it's hard to judge because just in the middle or in most important phase of the preparation, so you never know what are the objectives for them in this Stavanger tournament. But in Stavanger, I mean, I see Magnus working extremely a lot. I mean, my feeling is that his preparation is absolutely incredible. I mean, I can see as a professional chess player how much his team is working on openings, and he has plenty of new ideas. The level, it was better than before, but I still don't think he's at his best. I mean, but it's already was better. But even though first half of the tournament was not convincing, but it's clear he is on the race of getting his form. Yeah, that is quite clear. With Nepomniachtchi, well, it was a bit strange tournament, so it looked like he's getting his form better and better. And at least in Stavanger, yeah, it was not so convincing as we can all see. But it doesn't mean much. I mean, in general. It's not so clear to me yet who is in what form, and I think that maybe after a couple of or two or maximum 4 games, when they start to play a match, it will be more clear. But anything can happen. Very much depends on the form of the players. I believe that it's very much depends on it. But in general, of course, Magnus is a favorite, even though Jan Nepomniachtchi is especially very dangerous player when you are not in your best form, because he's putting a lot of pressure on time. He's very, very imaginative player, so you really need to be alert when you play him. And that's why for Magnus, it's a real danger. It's a real danger, so he really needs to get to a good form. Will he manage it or not? Well, we will see.
Well, you are experienced world champion match player. You were. What are the key elements when you prepare for a world title match? From as a champion or as a challenger, what are the two main activities? Apart from, of course, you're learning, you're studying, how do you get in shape to the match like that? Like, how do you find your best form when you're there?
Oh, you never can be sure about finding your best form, but of course, in a match, the preparation part becomes very important. I mean, if you prepare well, I mean, if you understood your opponent and managed to out prepare him in a certain way, like to get into the type of positions which is in your favor, to understand what are the weak points of your opponent, and trying to hit them. I mean, that becomes in a match compared to a tournament, when you every game you have a new player, that becomes extremely important. And then, of course, getting into a good form. I mean, it's all quite. I mean, there are no secrets really how to work in order to get into good form. The problem is that even if you do everything, sometimes you don't manage, and this is a mystery. You never know why all of a sudden you did everything like you always do, and something which definitely worked 1 year ago, and now it doesn't work, and you are not in good form. So if everybody would know exactly how to get into top form, then everybody will be always in top form, but it's not the case. Yeah. So it is, again, there are some general advices or general patterns what to do preparing for the match, but it's always a case-to-case story. Yeah. and yeah, it's always you need to feel it and to, in a way, to guess, to be a bit lucky to guess what is your state of mind, state of your chess at the moment, and how to prepare in order to get to a maximum before any World Championship match. And me myself,
Well,
sometimes I would manage, sometimes not, like everyone else.
Well, I guess all of us will be closely following the match from distance, but we follow. And what are you up to nowadays? What are you? Well, you stopped, you retired more than 2.5 years ago. And I know that you do play sometimes exhibition matches, and what we were talking about, your match with Anand, the Newcastle event. But what are you up to nowadays? What kind of projects you're in right now?
Well, yeah, nowadays times are a bit strange. Yes, so I have, of course, quite some things besides chess, but lately, last 2 3 months, what I do is I actually always wanted to write a book or something like that, something educational, to share my knowledge, experience, my ideas about chess, and well, I started. In cooperation with the Chessable, started to record courses. So I recorded first course. It's already published on chessable.com about positional play, like 10 or 11 hours course, where I'm trying methodically to help actually all chess players of all levels to improve the positional plays, to explain my vision, how to do it, how to try, what are the main aspects of positional play, and how to improve those aspects. And the second one, I'm actually finishing now recording it. It's even a bigger course. It's a very huge, long course. I wouldn't tell yet the thematic of it, but also I believe it will be interesting for chess players, basically of all levels, starting from 1.8 to actually, I believe, even to 2,700 players. So I think it will appear maybe October, latest November also. And then I see this task is finished, because as I mentioned, I wanted to write something. So this is like a book, in a way, in a little bit different modern format, but in reality it is. And then I have quite a number of projects. Hopefully we all will be more free to travel. And I have quite many things in the pipeline.
Okay, well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts about the no-castling game, your thoughts about what you think about the talents, the future of chess, and your plans. And of course, we are going to be following also your activities later on. Thanks very much for spending time with me.
Thank you, Judith, and good luck for your festival.
Thank you.